Hi, and thank you for tuning into Legislative Report. I'm State Representative Matthew Dowling, serving the 51st Legislative District in Fayette and Somerset counties. I'm here with Secretary Russell Redding, and we're here at the Farm Show today.
Good to see you. Welcome.
Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out to join me. I'm sure this week is a little bit of craziness for you, but maybe kind of like the Super Bowl for the Department of Ag here in the state.
Well, I mean, I think it's a great honor for us to host the show. You know, it's as we look at all the things this sort of government's expected to do. I'm amazed that for 102 years they said we're going to celebrate agriculture in the month of January, right? And we're here, so we're hosting that. It is a great moment for us. You know, we've got a good crowd today, and it's become this sort of spot where in production agriculture we get a chance to really talk to the consumers and the folks who may not have as much of an appreciation of the food system as we would want them to have. We put them together here in the Farm Show complex and do a lot of teaching, so it's good.
Well, the area that I represent, obviously rich in agricultural opportunities.
Yeah.
In Somerset County, we have maple syrup, which I'm sure you know quite a bit about, and in Fayette County, we have everything from dairy farms to some different crops that are out there.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit, I've sat in on a couple different sessions, the opening. Can you tell me a little bit about this year's theme, which I know is diversity? Why was that an important theme to have chosen for the 102nd Farm Show?
Yeah, so the theme is strengthen our diversity. And we have put a lot of thought into it, and it really came down to, you know, it's what we celebrate here. You can, every stage, every turn, there's another piece of agriculture, food. But if you think about Pennsylvania, it's also every road you go down, every area you go in the state, there's diversity. But how do we celebrate that? How do we represent that? We want to make sure we had a theme that really captured, if you're a beekeeper in Philadelphia, you know, if you're you know, a stockman in Fayette County, you feel like that is you, right? You're part of this industry. But how do we present that? So that became the strength in our diversity. And not just noting the diversity, but we think that all of that together is why agriculture is as strong as it is. That diversity is really our strength. It's also a sign that you know, a lot of our small farms and really make up the fabric of our communities. That diversity is critically important to us. So that's all embedded in this theme. It's all embedded in this butter sculpture. If you probably had a chance to see it as well. But that's what the diversity means for us.
Now, if you're from southwestern Pennsylvania like I am, and you're born and raised down there, agriculture is kind of second nature. We have a wonderful Fayette County Fair, a wonderful fair in Somerset County where we get to enjoy kind of a glimpse into what the Farm Show here is on a bigger scale.
Yep.
But what people may not realize is how important of a piece the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania plays in relation to agriculture on a national scale.
Right.
Could you speak a little bit to that? How important is Pennsylvania? Are we the keystone, for lack of a better term, in the agricultural system of the United States?
Yeah, the short answer is yes, right? And I think it's one of the pieces that came out both in the economic impact study that we've just completed, you know, $160 billion in economic impact, 500,000 jobs. You know, a big piece of that is what happens in the region, what happens in international markets. Just to the north in Canada, $200 million of the Pennsylvania agricultural products go north. Another nearly $1 billion goes south into Mexico. So all of these trade discussions we hear so much about, that has a real impact on what happens in Pennsylvania, both to the growth and the jobs, but also the opportunities long term. So it is huge. We have 40% of the U.S. population within 24 hours of Pennsylvania, right? You think about how strategic that is for food and agricultural products, whether it's lumber or chocolates. That's an incredibly important place to be. So long term, that's an opportunity for us to leverage that, to have that identification in the marketplace. But we have to work hard at making sure we get the right state policies, federal policies to have that happen.
Now, you made reference very briefly to a new study that you and the governor's office had worked on. What will that study do for Pennsylvania? And I also know, maybe if you could wrap it into the same answer, this was the year of the agricultural census on a national level. What will that data be used to, what do you use that data to do?
Well, thank you. I mean, two pieces. One is the economic impact and the strategic plan that we've been working on. We started 2 years ago with listening and thinking and putting it together. The last year really working with Fox Business School and consulting firm and the department, Team Pennsylvania. And it had two objectives. One, to really try to quantify what does agriculture look like in Pennsylvania, size, impact, those kind of things. But also look forward to say these are the types of issues we need to anticipate, we need to do something about, have a plan for. So that's our plan, unveiled today by Team PA and the governor and I. The second piece is the census. So this is a census year. So all of that data is collected in 2018 in the information that will be provided or released in 2019. We use those numbers to guide us on risk management. What do we do in terms of trend lines? What are the issues around organic and conventional and fuel costs and labor costs? All of that's embedded in the census. So two really important documents for us.
I think sometimes whenever we think about agriculture, we think about a family farm, generational farmers. And I understand you have a background in a family farm as well.
I do.
But technology is changing pretty rapidly on these family farms. You may not do the same thing you did 50 years ago.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about how the department or how the Commonwealth is helping farmers to evolve in their practices?
Yeah, it's a great question, because the technology shows up in a lot of different ways, right? It's both in terms of it's embedded in some of the equipment we're buying and using, it's embedded in the practices of the dairies with robotic milkers, you see it in the orchards with harvesting. From our standpoint, I mean, we're trying to help in two ways. One, and the strategic plan talks about this, is that technology role both has benefits in terms of the adoption of for labor and workforce and efficiency. It also has value in telling the story of agriculture through the social media and the outlets of technology as well, right? From a very direct point, I mean, we try to help on the purchasing and financing of some of that technology through our financing programs in the state. Transition costs, we've got some assistance there to help them, but the technology, as we've learned, is changing every single job, whether you're the farm owner, or if you're somewhere in the distribution channel, it's changing the job.
Well, we've been talking about agriculture very much on a macro level to a very micro conversation.
Yeah.
Before we were on camera, we were talking about the spotted lanternfly.
Yes.
And that's something I've been pushing information out there about on my social media channels. And I've had some constituents ask, why do we need to worry about this? It's not in Fayette or Somerset County yet.
Yeah.
And I know it's one of those invasive species that we're going to either, we could end up paying for it at a later date. Can you tell us a little bit about the spotted lanternfly and why does the Department of Agriculture get involved in an issue like that?
Yeah, so the spotted lanternfly first appeared in Berks County in 2014. It's the first time in North America ever, right? And what we realized pretty quickly is that this is a pest, an invasive pest, that likes what we have here. It likes our grapes, it likes the fruits, it likes the hardwoods. I can give you a long list, but it likes everything we have. And it has no sort of deterrence, right? So our concern is how do you control it? The last 3 years we've tried to do that. We have a quarantine in the southeast part of Pennsylvania, 13 counties. So we're trying to keep it away from Fayette County, right?
Sure.
We don't want it to go anywhere else. But our challenge is how to do that. This is very invasive. It pierces the plants, sucks out the sugars, has a honeydew that then coats stuff. It's just really bad in so many ways. So we're trying to keep it out. The impact to us is economic, right? It's about a food supply. If you're a dairy producer, the crops you grow for those dairy cows. So that's the connectedness to us.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to meet with me today, Secretary.
Yeah.
I've been asking everyone that I interview, aside from your official duties here, what's your favorite part of the Pennsylvania Farm Show?
Favorite part for me, and it sounds sort of simple, it's the family living area where the 4-H FFA members and the families have open competition with the baking, with all of the quilts, right? You get a chance to really see the craftsmanship of Pennsylvania in that section.
Well, I appreciate your time, Secretary.
Pleasure to
You have
see
a great day.
Thank you.
Take care.
You have a great year. Thank you.